Participatory budgeting began in Brazil in 1989 in a place called Porto Alegre, which is in the south of Brazil.
The basic idea is that people vote on how to spend money in their communities. They've got direct decision-making powers over how to spend money, locally themselves.
We lived very close to what's called a favela, the equivalent to a shanty town, in Rio de Janeiro. And the people there had an opportunity themselves to decide what they really needed and how to spend the money that was available.
There are two sorts of knowledge and they're both equally important. There's a knowledge held at the centre, which is about strategy, about planning, about resource allocation around. And then there's local knowledge that really can't be accessed from the top down, and local people have a lot of understanding about what would work best for their communities, and they can make a little bit of money go a long way as well. And I think that's what we've found again and again and again. In the South American model, they've used far more mainstream funding whereby residents commission services from providers. We're looking at things like housing providers now, maybe the private sector. The residents don't particularly mind where the money comes from.
Each year our Bishop's Lent Appeal has a local component. Half of it is spent within the UK, and so this has been an opportunity this year to spend it within the diocese.
One of the key things for me is that it's a way of bringing equality for the funds that are available.
In the Diocese of Lichfield, with somewhat over 400 parishes, almost 100 have neighbourhoods within the top 10% of deprivation within the nation. That's a very high proportion. And that's why tackling poverty and the causes of poverty is a priority for us here as a church.
What I'm expecting is a day of a big morale boost for all of us that have come to see the presentations from the parishes, and for us to really understand the extent to which they are working to reach out to their communities.
We exist to help feed the homeless and the marginalised in Walsall.
The project we've come about today is the Job Club, which we've been trying to set up for a long time now, but due to finances we've really struggled.
One of the things we've found is that people have particular problems getting proper food, getting food at all in some cases when the money's run out and the rent's run out and all the rest of it. And so we provide well-balanced meals, and we do that 5 days a week.
£855 will enable us to start up a job club at the parish centre.
Couple of grand in any scrapes the surface.
Well, we're asking for as much as we can get, really. We've already raised £20,000. We need £30,000, so we're hoping that we'll come top and we'll get the £2,000 that we require.
I'm really nervous.
Have you done a presentation before?
I've never done a presentation before in my life.
It's very inclusive, where more than half of our folk have learning difficulties or special needs of many sorts.
We live in a very deprived area, and there's a high percentage of children on free school meals. The problem with that is when the schools break up, the kitchens close down and those kids aren't getting a hot meal. So we want to provide a hot meal once a week for the 5 weeks of the school holidays.
We are requiring £2,000 to support our project as we want to connect communities together. We want to find 10 volunteers from 10 different churches in the diocese who can support the women who are incredibly isolated and suffering from all sorts of problems because of this.
I see it as integral to our Transforming Communities agenda, a very creative use of the Bishop's Lent Appeal money, and also the chance for parishes to vote for one another, so they're looking outside of themselves.
Thank you so much for coming. It's great to be here. I can sense the excitement mounting.
We're presenting and asking for money towards a recovery worker, because one of the things Highs and Lows wants to do is to be creative in developing a recovery community.
I've been a volunteer for Highs and Lows for 4 years. I've also been in recovery myself for 4 years. I was having a one-on-one yesterday with one of our service users, and he was saying to me it's important to be in recovery, to have the support and people behind you to help.
One of our little old church ladies, one of our 8 o'clockers has started coming, and I never knew. And then she came to me and said, my doctor didn't know what to do with me with my depression. This has really changed it.
I love it. I mean, I've even got one lady who comes in. She's not actually based at the centre. I actually said last week, this is my last week, Tuesday. I'm going to have a break for 8 weeks, just so our funding can be spread out that little bit further. And she says, but what am I going to do for 8 weeks? Where am I going to go?
At church? It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's fine. You can come in if you dare.
Let's go through the door.
Come on, then.
Some mates? Yeah. We're all out, like me and the lads tonight. Way! Hi, mate. Yeah, I'm at church. These really nice people. I've met Charlie and I've met Margaret.
Night Church is a chill-out lounge for clubbers. It provides a safe space in the heart of our city centre, Stoke-on-Trent. Violence is a key cause of poverty. We help to reduce violence by providing a safe environment.
So the project you want to give the most votes to, you score 10, and your second favourite project you score 9, and then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way down.
I thought it was an absolutely fantastic opportunity to not only present about the project that I came to talk about, but also to listen to everybody else's projects, what the really serious issues are that are happening in the diocese and how Christians are responding to them, and then obviously asking for help as well.
And you could see around the room, you know, people brushing away the odd tear. It was obviously, for many of them, as for me, it was the first time that I'd quite seen the magnitude of what the local churches are doing.
I think one of the things that struck me was the variety of projects that were requesting funding, but also the impression of such a high level of poverty spread across the Diocese of Lichfield. Central England is not somewhere where most people would immediately think that there are areas of deprivation and poverty and great need.
Yeah, there seems to be themes of homelessness, alcohol issues and addiction, and also hunger around the topic of poverty and social isolation.
Part of me is very excited at the way the church is responding to all of these particular social needs. Part of me is very angry that it's necessary, particularly those sort of focusing on food banks and things like that. You know, in the 21st century, in a so-called fairly civilised society like ours.
Lovely to see everybody's presentation and to see the people face to face.
I think this is a great way to share this with each other and also to try and communicate it to the rest of the diocese and the country.
There's poverty, deprivation, youth clubs, something for disabled people. So it's a mixture of projects.
It's up to the voters in their hearts and minds as to what they feel is the most needy. There are lots of good projects here. I'd love it if we could able to finance the ones that we put money in for, but I'm sure that the money will be well spent whatever happens.
It's amazing the work going across the diocese, and really hard to choose. All the projects deserve the money.
I've worked for something called the Participatory Budgeting Unit for about 5 or 6 years now. We've supported about 200 projects, either directly or indirectly, across the country with local authorities, police authorities, housing trust providers, housing providers, you know, lots of different audiences. This is the first time we've done anything remotely approaching this scale.
We've been really impressed by all those parishes around the diocese that have contributed towards the Lent Appeal. That's raised £40,000, and I'm going to be able to tell you now how half of that 20,000, is actually distributed. Free holiday meals in Glasgow, Heath, Tamworth got the most votes, and they get their £500. Holiday Club, St Matthew's in Walsall, they get their £750. £2,000 go to St John's Pleck for their inclusive craft club. Highs and lows, the big theme Walsall, please. With their homeless support in Walsall, 2,000 to them as well. Now, I know that's really tough on the projects that haven't been funded, and for those of you who have been funded, that's a really exciting state to be in. But it is customary on these events to just offer us all an opportunity, if we're able, to be practicing generosity to just one other level.
So now's your opportunity to practice generosity. And we've got an offer down here straight away.
Two down here, Kirsty.
£200. Thank you very much. is a very, very powerful thing, and I thank you very much for your generosity today. Do we have the final scores?
Overall, it's been a really good way, I think, of finding out what's going on right across the diocese. I think there's been a lot of energy put into the presentations. There's a very good atmosphere here, and I think there's a general feeling that this is a very fair way of allocating the funding.
There has to be some context around it. Sometimes it can be those who shout the loudest actually get the money, but certainly the way it's been done today, there appeared to be some good debate, some really good outcomes, and I think people ought to feel involved.
For us to just be able to do that really locally with very local resources, it's amazing. So not only does it bring to life the whole idea of each separate project, but in networking, joined up thinking there might be things from different areas across the city that don't even know.
Largely an Anglican initiative, but there were certainly people hoping to benefit from the grounds right across the spectrum of churches, Roman Catholic and Methodist and community church.
Absolutely superb to see local people voting on which the best causes are, really democratic way of doing it, and it's really good to see that the focus was on prevention.
It's a wonderful experience for the people in the marching band, and it's good to see so much good work going on throughout the diocese. So thank you for organising it. We've thoroughly enjoyed it and we've benefited too. Thank you.
It was very moving indeed to hear the stories about child poverty in our diocese. So many children obviously not even having one hot meal a week made me feel quite angry at some points really about the numbers of people who are subject to payday lenders and other people who are trying to make money out of misery, really.
I believe that God created us all equal, and that for the poorest in society to have a voice and they know what they need, and to be able to decide that, and for all those who contribute to the pot like we're doing with Lichfield Diocese to be able to decide together and to see the value of those projects and the difference it will make.
This kind of process, not only is it good for funding and financial applications, it could be done for all kinds of community resources.
I'm delighted by this as an initiative and hope that it will encourage people, but also that we may establish a pattern of regular meetings like this. It's deeply moving to see the churches in different neighbourhoods getting stuck in and making a real difference to people's lives.
It was 100% excellent. It was really good. I'd like it to happen again.